Hey guys, John Plather here from Acumen Tactical. Today we're going to do a quick gun cleaning video just to go over just basic gun cleaning and maintenance. I'm going to be working today on this Walther PDP full-size steel frame gun. This is my match gun and it is quite dirty at the moment. This gun's probably had several thousand rounds since the last time it's been fully broken down and cleaned. I think it's been through, I've taught several classes with this gun and run a couple of matches, several live fire training sessions. Was out doing some shooting yesterday. It was very hot and muggy and I was out at the range for several hours and just sweating all over the gun, obviously because I'm carrying appendix and training from that appendix carry position, and starting to get some moisture, little rust spots developing, so I wanted to make sure it gets some appropriate maintenance and clean it up. Going to be attending a class this weekend down in the Atlanta area, little range master instructor development course, and probably going to run this gun for the class, so I wanted to make sure it's in good shape. Haven't had any issues with any misfires or anything like that. One question that comes up often is how frequently should you clean your guns? And you know, really these things, as long as you keep them well lubricated, most of them will run pretty well. So I don't necessarily clean it every time that I shoot it. Like I said, this one's had several thousand rounds, but it's definitely starting to get a little dirty and past due. So want to go ahead and clean it up, get it ready to go before we start running into any issues. So we're just going to go over how to do that. So of course, the very first thing that we need to do before we start trying to take the gun apart, field strip it and clean it, is to ensure that it is unloaded, which I've already done, but of course you're going to make sure there's no magazine in the gun, right? We're going to lock the slide to the rear so I can look down in the mag well, look into the chamber, physically inspect, ensure the gun's completely safe and unloaded. There's no ammunition in the gun at all. Because now the next thing we need to do is be able to take it apart, and in order to do that on a lot of these striker fired guns, one of the steps is I'm going to have to press the trigger. So it's very important that you make sure that the gun is completely safe and unloaded. I recommend don't even have any ammunition around in your area, in your gun cleaning area at all. Okay, so next thing is we're going to go over how to take the gun apart and field strip it. All right, so now first thing we've done, ensure again the gun is clear, no ammunition in the gun, right? We've locked the slide to the rear. Now every gun's a little bit different. You have to look at your refer to your owner's manual for your particular manufacturer's instructions on how to take the gun apart and disassemble it, field strip it. Most of them have some type of a takedown lever. In this case, on the PDP steel frame, it has a little flip up lever. Now my carry gun, my everyday carry gun, is also a PDP, basically the same gun, it's just a polymer version. And on that one, it's got two little tabs, kind of similar to like a Glock pistol that you pull down from both sides at the same time, okay? Now that I have flipped this little lever up, I'm gonna just go ahead and send the slide forward. And now in order to remove the slide from the frame, I need to press the trigger. And I'm just gonna let it slide off there. All right, so now we have our frame, our lower receiver. You can see it needs a little cleanup, as well as our slide. From here, next thing we're going to do is take apart that recoil spring assembly. So I'm just going to put a little pressure on it. It is under tension, so make sure it doesn't go flying across the room. So you've got your guide rod and recoil spring right here. We're just going to set that off to the side, and then we're just going to push up on the barrel. Should just slide right out for us. And you can see, even though this gun's dirty, it's still fairly well lubricated, okay? And so now we've got our basic components, our slide, our upper receiver, barrel, guide rod assembly, and our frame or lower receiver, okay? Now it's up to you where you start with this. What I generally like to do is go ahead and just start with the barrel first. Now before I put any type of cleaning solvents or anything like that, what I like to do is just run a dry brush first through the barrel. Okay, I'm going to run it from the chamber to the muzzle end here. Okay, so I'm just going to run it through. You can see some of the carbon dust starting to come out, and just make a few passes through the barrel. I'm going to take a patch, we're going to put a little bit of gun cleaning solvent on this. Now today we are using gunfighter gun oil, right? A lot of different good gun cleaning products out there. Just pick one that you like. But obviously we want to use something that's made for cleaning firearms, right? We don't want to use some type of like WD-40 or anything like that, okay? So we're just gonna spray a little bit of this on our patch. Good. And I'm gonna take that and we're just going to run that through our barrel with this jag. Gonna give it a little push through there. Good. I'll pop that off. Okay. Now that's just to give it kind of an initial coating. And now I want to take some dry patches. And I'm going to repeat the same process with those. Just running them through the barrel. All right. So I'm going to run one more patch. This one, I'm going to just take a few drops of our gunfighter gun oil. Just put it on a patch right here. Just get a few drops on there. And we're just going to run that through our barrel one time. Very good. All right, good. So the inside of the barrel is pretty much good to go, okay? So now at this point, what I'm gonna do is just take a patch. I'll put a little bit of gun cleaning solvent on the patch, and I'm just gonna kind of rub it around the outside of the barrel. And then we'll take a clean patch and we'll just kind of go over it. Just try to remove any excess lubricant, old lubricant, and carbon residue that may be on there. Now, I do like to spend some time on the feed ramp right here. This little area where the round's going to hit that feed ramp to push it up into the chamber. I like to have that pretty clean, okay? Now, you may need to use a nylon or brass brush on this if you've got some caked on residue, which we have a little bit. Use a little brass brush here. It's pretty good. We'll put a little bit of cleaning solvent on there. Now I like to grab a little Q-tip, grab a few of them here, and kind of work inside these little crevices here. All right, good. So now I think we're pretty good with the barrel. So we're just going to set that to the side. Now our recoil spring assembly, this doesn't really require a whole lot. Typically what I will do is just kind of take a patch. You can put some solvent on it if you want to. I'll just kind of take a patch and just twist it through the patch right here. And we'll start to get a little bit of residue that comes off of it. This doesn't require a huge amount of maintenance generally, okay? Just give it a little wipe down. It's plenty. Pay attention, by the way, when you're disassembling the gun to make sure which way this recoil assembly goes into the gun, okay? So make sure to pay attention when you take it apart so you put it back together the same way, because we don't want to put this thing in backwards, okay? All right, now we're good to go with that. Now we're going to start with either the slide or the frame. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and start with the slide. Now, what I like to do first, so we don't just create a sludge, is just take a dry brush, okay? So I'll just take a nylon brush here. I'll use a patch. Just make sure the brush itself is fairly clean, right? And then we want to just take that brush and just brush out any excessive dust, carbon, any debris in there as much as possible before we start putting any gun cleaning lubricants and solvents in there. And now you can see on the patch there what came off of our brush. Once we've done that, now I'm going to take another patch, put a little bit of cleaning solvent. For me personally, I don't prefer spraying the solvent directly into the slide or directly onto the firearm. Sometimes you can get a little bit of excessive amount in there, okay? So I just put some on a patch, and I'm just gonna rub that around just to give it a good coating. So you can see, pretty dirty. Now again, we'll take a dry patch, go over top. Good, now we're gonna take a Q-tip. So I'm gonna get into, again, we can put a little bit of solvent on there. Get in some of these little harder to reach areas, right? Up here around the extractor is an area where you're gonna tend to see a lot of carbon buildup. So we wanna get in, hit that one really good. And then we'll take a dry Q-tip. And we will go back over it. Now, another area that you're going to tend to get some buildup is along the slide rails. So I'll take the pointy end of the Q-tip, and I'll just kind of hit those. So we've got the inside of the slide here pretty good. Okay, now we're going to look into this the little channel here. If you can see where the striker is going to come through that little pinhole. So when I'm cleaning this area, I want to be careful. I like to generally keep it pointed down this way so I don't get any debris or solvents or anything down into that little pinhole. I don't know if you can see it well, that little channel where the striker sits. Now we're going to talk about that a little more in a minute specifically, but what I'll do is just angle this down, and I'm going to use just a clean brush and just kind of brush this out. Again, I angle it down so that any little particles or debris don't fall down into that striker channel. I don't like to spray any solvents or anything like that. And then what we can do is just take a Q-tip, put a little bit of cleaning solvent on the Q-tip, and we'll just get in there and just clean a little bit with the Q-tip. All right, I think that one is pretty good. That breech face looks pretty good. All right, put a little bit of cleaning solvent on our patch. And we're gonna just give it kind of a once over. Just gonna get some of that solvent on the slide. Again, I'm being careful not to get any down in that striker channel. Good. All right, now take a clean patch. We'll go back over it. Once we've done that, take our Q-tip, get in all the little hard to reach areas. All right, now we can see, just because carrying appendix in the summertime and training outside when it's hot, we start sweating all over the gun. It's not uncommon that we start to get some of these little rust spots starting to appear over here by our rear sight assembly. We're just going to give this a good little spray right here. And I'm going to get a Q-tip and try to get in there and clean that up. Again, that level of maintenance is probably not going to be necessary on just an everyday basis, but because it has been sweated on a lot in training, I just make sure it's good to go. So looking much better there. All right, good. Now we'll talk about the optic. We'll kind of do that at the end. So I'm just going to set this aside. So now I'm going to grab my frame here. Now, same process. Another thing, sometimes getting down into the internals here, it can be a little difficult to reach. One thing that can be helpful is a little bit of canned air. Blow some of that debris out. Now, same thing. I'm going to take a clean brush. And just give it a once over before I put any kind of solvents on there, so we don't create a sludge that's harder to clean. All right, now we'll take a patch, spray a little bit of cleaning solvent on there, and again, initially I'll just kind of use my fingers, just coat it in there the best that we can. All right, now we'll take a patch, just go back over it. So I'll depress the trigger so I can kind of get in on that trigger bar and open up the coil on that trigger return spring. So we'll go ahead and grab a clean Q-tip. Solvent on there. Try to get down into the internals a little bit. All right, I think that's pretty good. I like to take just a couple of dry patches. I use a brush for this, just give me a little more reach, and I'll just run it along the inside on all the sides in there of the mag well. All right, good. Now we just gotta do the externals. So you can see we've got a good amount of like buildup of grip chalk, dead skin, some little rust starting to appear on the screws here that hold these are lock grips. These are, I think, the Velos grips. So I'm just going to use a relatively clean brush. We can get in there, just kind of brush out some of that excess chalk. All right, now again, I'm going to take a clean patch, put a little bit of solvent on it, and we're just going to give this a once over here. Take a dry patch, go over the top here. And we're going to use some Q-tips here. Get in around, as you can see, around this mag release here. And into these little screws. They're starting to pick up a little bit of some rust spots. All right, so now it's time for lubrication and reassembly. So first thing I had to do, lubricate the barrel. I'm going to take some of our gun oil, just put a couple drops on the barrel hood, and I'll just use my finger and kind of like rub it along there. Make sure we just get a good even coating. We don't need to over lubricate it. All right, once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and take the barrel, reinsert it into the slide, just carefully so I don't get it bound up. Should just lock in there. I'm going to take my recoil spring assembly, again, make sure that it goes in the correct way. Make sure it locks into place there. Now, I'm going to hit my frame, especially along the rails here. Put a little bit of oil in there. All right, now going to just slide it back on there, lock it to the rear. I'll go ahead and push my takedown lever back into position, and then I like to put just a drop right on the guide rod right there. Now we're just going to cycle it a few times, just like that. Okay, now we always want to do a functions check. So again, double check, make sure there's no ammunition in the gun. Slide forward, press the trigger, cycle it, press the trigger, hold it to the rear, cycle it. I should let the trigger out. Should hear and feel the reset, press the trigger again. Okay, now from here, next thing we're going to do is I'll just clean up my weapon mounted light. You can see it's got some carbon on it there. Just going to take a Q-tip with a little bit of cleaning solution. Just go over it here. All right. Now, what I like to do is now I'll take a one of these little CLP wipes. CLP is cleaner, lubricant, and protectant. I'm just going to grab one of these. They're kind of pre-moistened little wipes, and just go over the whole outside of the gun. Just put a little light coat on there. Good. Now, what I like to do is just take one of these little silicone gun cloths, and just kind of wipe it down with this. All right, I think that's good. And then the final thing here, I'm going to take my gloves off. I don't get any gun oil or solvents. I like to just take these little lens wipes. These are Zeiss, I don't know how you say it. These are good for out in the field too, when you start getting carbon buildup on the front of your lens, which I have quite a bit here. Take our optic protector off. Now, I like to hit this first with a little bit of canned air. We don't want to scratch the surface. And then come in here with one of these lens cleaners. Just try to get all that buildup off the front of your optic lens. It's nice and clear. You can see all that junk that came off of there. And then we'll hit the inside as well. If you have a hard time getting into the corners, sometimes you can use the corner of one of those little Q-tips on top of this to get in there. All right, that looks pretty good to me. I don't know if you can see in the window. All right, and now I think we are good to go for the next match or class or training session. All right, so thanks for watching the video, guys. I know it's a little long. Feel free to fast forward through some of the parts of me just cleaning the gun, and hope you found it helpful. If you have any questions, comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to help. Other than that, thanks for watching, and hope you have a good rest of your day.